And first thing I'd like to say on behalf of everybody at Build a Rocket Boy is it's an honor for us to get the chance to share this stage and present to an audience like you. So thank you very much for having us and sticking around for the next hour or so. We promise to keep it as lively, as fun as possible for a Friday afternoon as we can. I'll introduce everybody who's from the Build a Rocket Boy side first. So I'll kick off with Adam. So Adam's one of our original team behind Build a Rocket Boy. He's been working with the founder for a very long time. He used to work on projects like GTA and Red Dead Redemption. And yeah, he'll be talking about the big picture vision for where we're going. We wanted to make sure that you have an understanding of everywhere where it's going, our long-term commitment and roadmap. And also Sergey. So Sergey is our head of publishing. He's also my boss, so please make us look good. He's going to be talking a lot around how do we align our incentives as a studio with creators like yourselves. Again, incredible background, epic and wargaming. And next up, we've got Liam. A fun story about Liam. So Liam took a midnight train to be here. He was on holiday this week. Flight got cancelled, but he really wanted to make it here to do the live demo. We're going to be jumping into the tools, building something live, hopefully showing you something interesting. And his role at Barb is he works on the content design team. So a lot of the content that you'd find in the game that's created by the studio is done by Liam and his team. And then you got me. So nice to meet you. I'll kind of help moderate on the Barb side. I lead community and creators. Less traditional background. I came from TikTok and ByteDance. I used to run a lot of the apps. So slightly different background, but community, creativity, creation, always at the center of it. But like I said, a lot of big picture, but we also want to ground this in reality. And I want to be clear that we're work in progress. This is very early, but hopefully you're going to see some stuff that is exciting and attractive. And one day, everywhere could be something which is interesting for you and your team and for your business as well. But I'll hand over to Adam now. So thanks again, and ask questions in the chat. And if Trent can't moderate, I'll try and do my best. And I promise I won't skip the difficult questions.
Oh, thank you so much for the intro, Dan. And kind of just to echo Dan's sentiments that he conveyed at the start there, we feel very lucky and blessed to be able to come and talk to you guys today. We're really impressed with all the kind of wonderful things. I can see some names obviously from our community, but some other names that I recognise and things from doing some wonderful stuff in the UGC world. And really looking forward to talking to you today about everywhere and some of the plans we've got. So that being said, we'll go over to the next slide, Loris. Hey, thank you, sir. As Dan mentioned, my name's Adam Whiting. I'm the assistant game director here at Build a Rocket Boy. I've been working with our founder, Leslie, for many, many, many years on some exciting past projects. But for a long time now, we've been building not just a studio, Build a Rocket Boy, but also some of our projects we're going to talk to you about today. Just a little bit about Leslie, because, he wouldn't like us talking too much about him, but, he's quite a humble, down-to-earth guy, despite his incredible track record and kind of unprecedented success in the industry. But I think Leslie's most proud of is the quality of the products that he's worked on. If you were to go on to Metacritic right now, for example, and just organize every game that's ever been released by its Metascore, I think around 7 or 8 of the top 20 are games that Leslie either directed, produced, or was directly involved with in some way, shape, or form. So kind of a crazy, unprecedented track record for quality as well as success. And over the past years, we've been building Build a Rocket Boy, the studio. We've got a wonderful team of over 400 developers working full-time across our 3 products, which are Everywhere, Arcadia, and Mindseye. And ultimately, we're blessed because we're working with some really, really talented people, some of whom we've got on the call today, the likes of Sergey and Loris and Dan and Liam, but also throughout the company, up and down the company, we've got wonderfully talented people from various different companies and backgrounds, whether that's Ubisoft, Microsoft, Epic Games. We're really, really blessed to have such a really talented team working really, really hard on these products. And if you can think of any major game or IP, we've probably got somebody who had a hand with it involved in what we're doing in some way, shape, or form. So what have we been doing at Build a Rocket Boy? Sorry, can we go to the next slide? Hey, so several years ago, we were kind of looking at, and Leslie's always been very innovative. He's always had kind of a big picture thinking and always kind of looks not at what's happening right now in the industry, but really what's happening further afield in the world at large. Okay. And I think the kind of big insight that he had was that the way entertainment is being consumed is very, very different. Okay. People are consuming multiple forms of content at the same time. They're playing a game, they're on the phone, on social media, watching the latest episode of Game of Thrones while listening to a podcast, you know what I mean, all at the same time. So we tried to create a space where you can have all these different types of experiences, all these types of connections, all in kind of one coherent kind of world. Okay, technology is offering us a lot more interactive opportunities, and that's giving players demand for more choice, more ways to express themselves. You know, when I was growing up, the first game that I played, a lot of people my age, was Mario Brothers on the NES, right? But I think there's a whole generation of gamers coming through now who had more creative opportunities to express themselves when they first made contact with these virtual worlds, and I think they demand the ability to express themselves creatively, and we're seeing that demand. We want to deliver on that. Okay, and I think also from our perspective, looking at the industry at large, we felt that studios weren't really taking enough risks. Okay. Games are big and expensive, and that leads to this kind of like sequel and franchise mentality, okay? Which means there's a dearth, there's a real lack of really original ideas and people trying to do something a bit new, a bit innovative, and a bit creative. And that's why we started the studio, and that's why we kind of like really kind of didn't really look at what the industry was doing, but what entertainment and culture was doing, and tried to create things that were kind of more a response to that. And really, I think if we look at we've seen this happen with video, okay, and we're seeing it now happen with games, okay. YouTube came along and was like, if you are someone who's really talented and you've got a camera and all this great software and you know how to do it all, or maybe you've got a team behind you working on it, okay, you now can make content and put it out into the world outside of the studio systems, okay, which was really, really kind of exciting time and exciting moment for people who perhaps already trained and all that kind of stuff, right? But then we're entering now this kind of TikTok era, which really all you need is a phone and an idea, and now you've got a place to share your creations. And ultimately, that's the kind of vibe we were going for with everywhere. We want it to be a place where you don't have to be an expert, you don't have to be a games developer, you don't have to have had a degree or any formal training in games development. But if you've played a lot of games, you're passionate, creative, and you've got a great idea, we've tried to create a platform and a world where you can express that idea and, more importantly, find an audience to share it with. So that leads us to the projects we've been working on. So Everywhere, which obviously it's now entered its builders beta, it's a free-to-play, community-driven gaming platform, and it really is a platform where we've kind of put out some great gameplay and some experiences already. But really, what we're most passionate about is creating tools and the ability for players to make their own creations and share them with the world. Okay. Again, going back to that kind of industry perspective, it kind of feels that the industry's kind of lost its mind to a certain extent, and unless you're building $1 billion franchise, it doesn't seem to have any perceived value, which is crazy. You know, I remember like a time where little small communities would form around mods and games and little slices of gameplay, and you know, even though it speaks to a few hundred or a few thousand people, that has value. Let's create a space where people can kind of do that and find an audience and then connect and engage with other audiences. And we do that through Arcadia, which is our suite of easy to use, no code building tools, and a whole self-publishing system, a whole library of assets and community-driven content. And really, community really is at the heart and soul of everything we're doing within Everywhere in Arcadia. And ultimately, we kind of want to put this out into the world and then move out the way and let the players and the community be the heroes, the champions who move this world forward. But we're also very, passionate about making video games and telling our own stories. So that's where Mindseye came along, where it was an opportunity for us to tell our own stories, make a wonderful, immersive, cinematic game, and then have that as part of the platform as well. We aren't going to talk too much about Mindseye today, of course. We're really focused on Everywhere in Arcadia, which will be of particular interest to you guys. But rest assured, we're working hard on that, and there'll be more information coming out later this year. Because ultimately, we've kind of been teasing this for a while. We know that people are really interested in Mindseye, and it is a big part of what we're doing. And there's some really exciting stuff that I'd love to talk about today. But simply, we've got so much stuff to cover already we just won't have time to touch on that today. But rest assured, it's something that's waiting in the wings, and we're really, really excited to start that conversation, in the coming months. But when it comes to Everywhere in Arcadia, the one of the big kind of like things philosophically we're passionate about is collaborative building. Okay, and there's a few really innovative systems we're going to talk about, but also Liam's going to show you, okay, that really facilitate this. Okay, and stamps I think are kind of the centerpiece of that, as ultimately anything that you build within Everywhere, and it could be an entire level, it could just be a slice of gameplay, it could be a really cool asset or gameplay piece. Whatever it is that you build, you can share that seamlessly with the rest of the community. And it's as simple as grouping something together and then turning that group into a stamp. And then it now can be shared with the whole community and access to the stamp library, which is integrated into the tools. So everybody is collaboratively sharing and building off each other's creativity and ingenuity. What this also means is that novice players who come into this space and don't know how to do things, and not probably aren't as sophisticated as some of the people listening to me right now, they don't need to be, because they can take your creations, your logic, your creativity, and then they can utilize that. And I think we're moving into this kind of remix culture, this remix era of UGC, which is going to be really, really exciting, because it's really going to bring in a whole new a cohort of builders who never really thought they could build. Okay, and I remember growing up in Nottingham and feeling like the games industry was this far off, impossible dream that I'd never be able to realise. And ultimately, we want to lower the barrier so that anybody with an idea has an opportunity to share it with the world. Okay. And I think Sergey wants to touch on this as well and kind of just to talk about stamps, but we can see here an actual example of how, you know, one thing could be used in multiple different contexts in multiple different ways by different creators and different builders. I'm really excited about this system, and Sergey, please add anything you want to about that.
The idea of the stamp is that it could be like I mentioned, it could be an asset, it could be a mechanic, it could be a gameplay object, and it could be used and shared with everyone else, and can be remixed by anyone else. So in this on this screen we have a simple laser trap that is used in 3 places for different purposes. So I mean, it's a trap that you have to overcome when jumping through islands. There's another one in the dungeon, and there's a it's as simple as turning it 90 degrees, it becomes a vertical trap. And this is like a simplest example. We have more examples. I think Lamb's going to show it to you all later. But I think the key feature for stamps for us is that stamps allow people to focus on what they know how to do and kind of share responsibility for everything else with everybody else. So let's say I am good. Let's imagine I'm good with making characters. So I'm going to go and make a character. I'm going to use the frog example I keep using. And let's say I made a frog. Then Adam, let's say Adam is good at animation. So he will take my frog, he'll add some animations to it, and it's going to be a dancing frog now. And he publishes it on in the stamp library, accessible to everyone. And I don't have to know Adam, and Adam doesn't have to know me, and we don't have to talk to each other. Adam could just take a random stamp that is publicly available, modify it, publish it. Once Adam publishes his stamp that is based on my work, it's going to be a dancing frog by Adam with contributions by Sergi. And let's say Loris decides to take this dancing frog and make a video game out of it, and make a dance-off where you have to dance off against the dancing frog made by Adam. He makes a video game. We call it an arc, but it's a mini game, and it's going to be an arc made by Loris with contribution by Adam and Sergi. So we always record the name of whoever made the thing, and it always propagates. So when somebody likes Loris's game, or somebody in the future spends money in Loris's game, we get likes me and Adam, and we also get a share of money from eventual monetization from Loris. This allows you to access the collective knowledge of the whole ecosystem, the collective skills of the whole ecosystem, without dealing with all the bureaucracy. Like when we make video games as creators, and I think it's happening in the UGC space as well, is a single person is super powerful. And you've seen that indies making games solo, and it's thanks to the tools, right? It's always a tool. Like if we had to still use assembly language or code and machine code, like a single person would be able to make a more complex game. But we now have people having access to tools like Unity and Unreal Engine, make amazing games on their own, without involving a lot more people. This is just the next iteration. It's an next iteration of that. So you could make games on your own, but essentially it's going to be a collective work of many people that are in the ecosystem. And it's not like somebody can come and steal your stuff. You have to choose to make the stamp public. If you want to keep your know-how to yourself or to your group of friends, you could make your public private or friends only, or limited to your organization. This is not like a requirement to make everything public, but we believe that it helps everyone in the ecosystem to make the creations public, because it allows somebody, like You know how annoyed you are when somebody, copies your mechanic, bit for bit, and you don't get any recognition. In this case, if you made your mechanic public, like as a stamp, somebody would just grab and use it, and you would be recognized. You would get, revenue from all the clones of your original, creation that you created. And it's always a, kind of a trade-off, but I think it's going to be worth it at the end, both for recognition and for innovation. I think stamps allow us to create a speed of innovation that are difficult to achieve in other ecosystems. So if you're making a game in Unreal Engine, for example, you have access to a huge Unreal Engine marketplace. You could buy assets to use in your system. You could also hire people to help you with this stuff. But it requires some upfront capital, and it allows you to coordinate between all those groups of people. It requires you to sometimes to rebuild stuff from the scratch that you cannot access on the marketplace. In case of everywhere, you don't have to have any upfront costs. You just start building using other people's blocks. They only get share of revenue. They don't get nobody gets any upfront payments. You don't have to hire anyone unless you want to build a studio, which I think is going to happen anyway at some point. And you can just go in and innovate. So when somebody makes something cool, some kind of cool mechanic, you know how in AAA industry, somebody invents a mechanic, and 3 years later, all the games come out, and all the games are using the same mechanic. And sometimes it gets really annoying. I worked on mobile games and vehicle combat games and battle royale games. I know how it looks, from inside. In UGC space, the speed of innovation is much faster. In indie space as well. So in indie space, it's like a year. In UGC space, it's about like 3 months. In an environment like everywhere, people would be making better versions of existing mechanics or of existing tools, I think, within days. Like if somebody comes up with something cool, then other people would be using, their creations to build something new, even more cool. And unlike in other ecosystems where, when you have one BR fighting another BR game, and you have like, giants like Epic Games and Activision Blizzard, now Microsoft, fighting against each other. In our case, this would be collaborative process. If somebody uses your mechanic, you still get credit, you still benefit from all the follow-up products.
Can you guys hear me now? Is my
Yep.
mic working? Okay.
Hey,
I wanted
good to hear you, dude.
Hey, my lighting's terrible now in this room. I did want to point out with stamps though, like something that I'm really excited about is that the like as someone that's built a lot of open source tools over the years, having to decide between like, do you release it for free or do you put it behind a paywall or something? And then if you do release it for free, like how do you know who's even using it? You don't get credit. Someone's making a ton of money off of your work. I think this is like a really cool system where it like has the right incentives to you want to push things out, better the ecosystem, but also not worried about everybody just like stealing your work with no credit and no money in return.
We looked a lot at at our open software ecosystem. We looked at Hippo as well. We have like our equivalent of Git push pretty much. So let's say you had a stamp that is used in a bunch of other creations, and you decided to make changes because you found a bug or something in your stamp, or you decided to make it prettier. You can update it and then push updates to all the other arcs or all the other creators. They have to accept it, so nobody can just suddenly break your creation because somebody else updated the stamp. So you have to accept that, but it allows you to fix a lot of things in the whole ecosystem with a push of a button. Same for your own creations. If you only use private stamps internally in your own game, and you have like a door in like we had an example with the door actually, was the person on Discord server where they updated the door and pushed the button, and that version got updated in like in the whole castle they were building. So all of them got updated. I think this is super powerful as well.
Fantastic.
Cool. Next slide, Maurice.
Yeah, and I think ultimately the other kind of like key thing that I think really separates us from anything else is the fact that like we want you to always have control of a 3D character in a 3D environment. Okay, whenever you're in everywhere, we want you to be in a gameplay experience, whether that's just you're still trying to figure out what you do for the evening. So the moment you enter everywhere, you're not on a menu trying to find things, you're in a world, and that allows us to drive discovery in really new and innovative ways type things. So basically this happens via various mechanisms. We do have traditional things where, like on loading screens, we show you things when you first come into the game, and before you hit the play button, we can have stuff posted there. But just throughout the world, we can have more organic types of discovery, where maybe something catches your eye in the distance in the central district of Utopia City, and then you can go over to that and there's a portal that takes you into that experience type thing. And portals are the way that we kind of connect the landmass of everywhere to the abstracted cloud space. Okay, so everywhere's got a fixed landmass, that world, and eventually when we open up the biomes in the open world as well. But we can place a portal anywhere and connect it to anything, whether that's another location on the map or any kind of UGC content, whether something that we've built or something that our partners or players have built, anything at all. And then also within your own creations, you can place your own portals. Okay, that could be a portal to another location within your arc. It could be a portal to another piece of gameplay that's only accessible through your arc. Okay, or maybe you've just like built a lovely house as like a social environment, and then in one of the rooms you've got a load of portals that are all connected to your favorite content on the platform as a way to curate an evening's entertainment for you and your friends. This really helps us create this kind of ever-expanding, ever-evolving experience where every day you come in, there'll be new things to experience and discover, and that discovery would be much more organic than just through trawling through menus or anything like that, which we think is getting a bit tired. So yeah, sometimes people will kind of like through, I think they were trying to be kind, but sometimes when we kind of were talking to people about this years ago, they were like, that's very ambitious. And it's almost like a backhanded compliment, okay, when we're talking about trying to do everywhere and Arcadia and Mindseye at the same time. But I think they miss the kind of big picture that we're aiming for. As ultimately, what we're doing is we're developing these Arcadia tools, not just for the benefit of the audience, but for the benefit of ourselves as well. We're actually using these tools to build the content within the platform, okay? So what this means is whenever you play anything and everywhere, you've got access to the same tools that we use to build that experience, okay? And actually, if we actually think about this, go another step further, we've got a whole roadmap for the tools. We're going to keep building them and developing them. So by the time you play a piece of content that's come out, the tools are probably more advanced than that point. So actually, you've probably got a better set of tools than were actually used to build the content within the platform by the time you come to play it, okay? This is really, really exciting for us, but also what it's also allowed us to do is utilize Mindseye to a certain extent, okay? Because to build Mindseye, which is a AAA, cinematic action adventure game, okay, we have to build really high quality gameplay systems and mechanics, like great shooting mechanics and systems, driving physics and mechanics, and also things for locomotion, 3Cs and platforming, essentially, okay? All of that work benefits and enriches everywhere, okay? So that's why when you get into everywhere and you start playing it, the gameplay feels really high quality, whether it's driving a car, whether it's controlling a character in a combat environment or a platforming environment, everything feels really, really high quality, okay? And that's by virtue of the work we're doing with our other projects like Mindseye. And in the future, as we do more exciting things that I can't wait to talk about, we're going to continually enrich everywhere with new gameplay mechanics, new systems that are going to open up new genres and new ways to create and build and to kind of captivate new audiences. And just lastly, the whole purpose of this, it was all built from the ground up with this in mind as well, okay? So it's not like we had something that we've like tried to pivot into a UGC game. We always kind of like had this idea in mind, which means our entire back end and infrastructure was built with this in mind from the ground up, which means we're much more scalable. It means we're much more portable than anything else. It means that things like the footprints for our data is very, very small. So moving between the experiences is very, very quick, very, very seamless. And ultimately, we've got like a big kind of like technology advantage as well, just in terms of the fact that we've always intended everywhere to be what it is. And that being said, I want to hand back over to Sergey because he's got some more really exciting things to talk about, and I could listen to Sergey talk all day long.
You're mute, Sergey. No, still muted. There we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you, Adam. And I want to say that the biggest problem every new ecosystem faces is a cold start problem, right? Because especially if you're coming from not like an existing game on existing user base, you have to build it slowly. It's not like a quick and dirty solution to that. You either expedite it with spending a shit ton of money on solving that other problem, or you try to build it organically. So our approach, and I think we should go to the next slide. Yeah, we're trying to build it from the ground up. We're focusing on builders and creators at this point, and we will always focus on them because they provide the most value to the ecosystem. And we started with builders beta that launched almost 2 weeks ago on the 18th of June. We invited a select group of people. It's still in closed beta, and we had them build. And we are at this point collecting feedback and looking at how builders are behaving in the game and trying to. We monitor a bunch of stuff, trying to understand what exactly builders are finding easy, what exactly they're struggling with. Our team is like 24/7 in the local Discord, monitoring what's going on there. We also look at complexity of builds. We're looking at usage of stumps between builders. We're looking at collaboration between builders, because our goal is, like I said before, is to have a collaborative platform, not necessarily a competitive platform. We have a bunch of assets already in the game that were developed by our team, but like my gut tells me that people will make better stuff than our team could. Like, one example I can give you is that our team told us that to create a flying drone that follows a character, is going to take a couple of months, and somebody built it actually by accident in the game in the first several days. So there is that. We are working with our top content creators. Dan's team is actually handling that from other ecosystems that are helping us understand their needs, and they kind of like a proxy or canaries for the big ecosystem. So we're talking to them all the time. We talked to them before launching Blizzard Beta. We keep talking to them right now to try to understand what exactly they require. We're also looking at small creators and hobbyists, because it's not like one solution fits all. You have bigger studios, you have small creators, you have hobbyists, you have modders coming from other ecosystems that are ready to level up and build something of their own. You also have some small and niche communities that just want to have a place where they can create something for themselves and play that together. Like and a great example I gave is that every game has to be a multi-million franchise or dead. And I think there's a time and place for smaller games if they don't cost too much to develop. The problem with multi-million dollar franchises is that these days you have to be big to succeed. So everybody aims for something safe. But if you have a space for people to create smaller things, they will find each other and they will create the small things, and it will enrich the culture. Like, I mean, TikTok and YouTube are great examples. A lot of stuff that you see on TikTok and YouTube would never be shown on television, because there's just no audience for that. Like if you're trying to cover the whole country, or even, or a small state. But if it's a worldwide community, you can always find like 10,000 people. Like, you look at birders, for example, people that like taking pictures of birds. I have a bunch of friends that are like that. They had like a specialty magazine like in the 90s. That was it. It virtually did not exist until like 70s. They were like scattered across the globe. Now it's a powerful community. A lot of people like talk to each other. They discovered a bunch of new bird species, and that's all helps thanks to all the social media that we have right now. So it's not all bad. We're trying to be the same for video games, essentially. We will not start player acquisition until we're happy with progress builders are making, and until we're happy with the tools. But we will go hard once it happens. And we also have the Mindseye, in back of our pocket as a AAA product that we will use and integrate with everywhere more and more as thing goes. So I think we can reach scale quickly if needed, but we have to reach quality before that.
Cool. So I'm going to start going through the slides a little bit quicker, just for time, because I guess everybody wants to see the tools in action. So everybody else as well, just take that as a note. We'll kind of glide through these next slides. But some of you might be wondering, what does creators in mind even mean? So next slide, please, Loris. There you go. So this section is just to let you know we take creative feedback incredibly seriously and importantly, and we've been working with creators for the last couple of years to make sure the product that we have right now, but also what we're working towards, is something that will be meaningful and valuable. So we've been working on the product, but we've also been working on the marketing and messaging side. We've seen a few movies before with different UGC platforms that have kind of jumped in maybe without sensitivity, and we want to really humbly welcome ourselves onto the scene with a tool set that we have a strong confidence that you'll love and hopefully enjoy. You can see on the slide just some of the things that we've done. We've done a lot of testing. Liam and I have done a lot of what I call kind of Airbnb door to door. I think we've spoken to over 100 creators and tried to understand exactly what is meaningful and valuable to you. And like Adam said, right now our closed beta is actually focused solely on the creative community. We want to make sure this is an incredible tool set. We can create amazing worlds together, and then we'll start to, like Sergey said, open up more of the world. Next slide, please, Loris. There's just some key insights that we're going to go through now. We thought they would be interesting from a, how does a platform go about being in its go-to-market and marketing itself. And this was an insight from a Roblox dev, and it was a really powerful but simple insight, which was there's a lot of pain points happening right now in the industry. There's a lot of things that we love, but there's also a lot of things that we don't love. So we have been trying to understand, based on the things that aren't working, how can we really fix them and make something elegant, like Sergey said, solving that copying problem, bringing creators together, and there's some slides coming up of what else we're going to do as well. Next slide. These are just some quotes that we thought would be interesting. Number one, and maybe some of these resonate with you, but really staying committed to developer feedback. I think there's a point in time when a platform grows where it stops being so customer centric, and things get busy, things get scalable, but we really want to make sure that the community is at the core of the decisions that we make. We've already started some pilots of how we can do DevRel differently, and we'll talk about them shortly. And we're very aware that you need the right economic model to be attractive, especially for an audience like you. And we have a starting point to share a little bit about today. But again, like I said, we are work in progress. We are at the start of this, but we did want to signal what's coming next as well. Next slide, please, Loris. So it's basically, we're going to skip through these so we can jump into the tools, but they are very important. So it's a kind of 5-point vision and a bit of a hint at some stuff that's live, some stuff that's coming, just so you know generally where the platform is going. Number one, and this is like what Sergey has really brought to the company, is how do you make sure that the studio and creator incentives are aligned? Like, we want to have a business that's in harmony together. And number two, your originality needs to be rewarded and credited. And that culture of credit is extremely important, that you make something and you get the recognition for your creativity. Payment is fair and transparent. We'll talk a whole bunch about this, kind of fairly simple and straightforward to understand. We want to make discoverability, we want to level the playing field and open up new ways to be discovered. There's the most important thing is that you create something and you get player feedback and you connect with an audience. So that connection between builder or dev and player is extremely important. And we're trying to really think about how we can make that happen at scale, knowing that problem of so much content and algorithms is a really, really tricky one to solve. And then finally, this is what we're building our muscle right now, but just relentless support and focus on our documentation and how we enable builders and creators and developers in different ways. But next 5 slides kind of touch upon this, and if we go through maybe a minute per slide, that gives us plenty of time on the tools.
Yeah, I want to emphasize this point. I think for any ecosystem to be successful and to survive, their incentives for studio and for the platform and for everyone else in the platform, that includes creators and players, they should be aligned. So if the platform only succeeds if the creators on the platform succeed, and creators on the platform only succeed if players are happy and satisfied with the product. Because we've seen systems where incentives are misaligned, and we've seen systems where platforms kind of competes with its creators on its own platform, or for the same much money, or platform is disincentivizing creators, or disincentivizing its own support of creators because they have other things to promote, and it never ends up well. Every time you see a platform trying to inject itself between creators and players and take over control from creators, it ends up bad. So I think the right incentive structure, not just for creators but for the platform itself, I think is really important in this case. Yeah, building is always free in everywhere. You don't have to pay for anything. You can use any public stuff. You can use any assets that we have. We are not selling asset packs or like kits or something like that. You can access anything. If somebody wants to make money from the arc, you will share some of your revenue with other creators that content that if you used. Like stunt builders, and if you collaborate with other people, you'll share revenue with them. but you don't have to pay to start. It's not like that. And yeah, this is consistent feedback we've heard about some other platforms that revenue share models tend to be opaque and confusing, and sometimes it's you just get a check at the end of the month and you have no idea what went to that, or sometimes it's you see one number and you'll get a check for a much smaller number because there's a bunch of fees and other things. We're trying to avoid all of that. We're trying to create a system that is predictable and transparent. The system that is in my head is more like I guess Steam or PlayStation Store or Xbox Store, where you know what you're going to get and you have consistent access to data as you're developing and as your product is running, instead of like less transparent systems. We talked about multiple avenues for discovery. Discovery is a difficult problem to solve. It's not going to be solved inside the platform. In most cases, discovery is solved by a combination of tools, personalization on the platform itself, but also by using external forces. And internally, we talked about using both menus and endemic discovery in the game as well, plus recommendation algorithms. But also, I think there's a lot of power in allowing builders to actually just deep link into the experiences. So if you share a link on social media, somebody clicks on that link, they should be able to jump into your experience immediately. And we've seen it work for some experiences on mobile devices. We haven't seen it done well on PC yet. It does work in everywhere right now, by the way, but we're planning to implement it like real soon.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, final one before you jump into tools. Like I said, we are in beta and work in progress, but even at this stage, we are building our feedback loop muscle. We have mentors, as actually some of them are in the audience that are already helping our builders. A lot of them are novices and first time builders. So it's really important that we equip and enable them. We have the start of a wiki that contains all of our documentation. The plan for that is to be shared with the community, working together, contributing. Maybe there's things that your favorite stamps that you want to share with the community and make visible. Again, we believe that co-ownership could be powerful and slightly different. And then hopefully you'll see here on the other side, we take feedback incredibly seriously. We've got mechanics and automations of taking that feedback and putting it onto our studio backlog. And our studio has been waiting for feedback like this. So, everything that comes through is definitely looked at with our eyes and put on a backlog. So, hopefully you'll join our community one day and contribute to that as well. And over time, it improves and becomes something that you love to use. Next slide, please. So this is an FAQ. I suggest we come back to this just so we can jump in the tools, but there were some questions in the chat that I noticed, and we can maybe answer them a bit more meaningfully than in the slide. So maybe if we skip one slide forward, Loris, and then we jump in the tools. Trent, maybe 5 minutes in the tools, a quick walk around, and then we can do a Q&A. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Okay, so I'll just share my screen here. So hi everybody, I'm Liam. Like Adam said, I work in content design here at Barb, which lucky me, I think it's the best job in industry because I get to use this cool player-facing tool to make stuff all day. And making stuff in the game starts here in Utopia. So this is our central hub, sort of the city in the middle of the world. It's a good place to come and socialize, like with this guy, whoever that is. And experience new experiences or find them and discover them. Some of that's done through portals, like Adam mentioned as well. There's a few here. This is to a level called Sunken City. But if I wanted to make something new and show off the tool, which is what I want to do with you guys right now, I'd go into the menu, build Arcadia. Arcadia is the name of our tool, and I want to make a new arc. So everything begins as a new arc, like Sunken City there. That level looked like this at one point. It's a big open space. This is your dojo. So a lot of this is going to be very familiar to you guys. First off, I just want to change some settings. I like to have the floor on as a point of reference. So we have all of our stuff here. This is stuff that I can drag and place into an arc. Like if I go into packs, these are our basic building blocks. They are further split by themes, like grassland, further split by types, like blocks. I can click on this and I go into a paint placement mode. I can also just drag a single instance of that out. So if I click on an asset like one of these are again with one of our more simple assets, we have much more intricate ones and involved ones. I can rotate it, I can move it around. Right now it's doing those on intervals. I can turn that off and I can rotate it freely. I can scale it freely as well. I can also take all of these that I've placed. I can, holding control, group select them, or I can box select all of them. And if I can control G, or if I right click and go into the context menu, which isn't working for some reason at the moment. Oh, they're already grouped. Anyways, I can group these together. And this is now, it's a unique geometry that I can do all of that stuff to as I was before. But if I wanted to, I can hit full stop twice. I go into individual selection mode. And if I need something to be just a bit different, if I've grouped a whole rolling tank, but I think the gun barrel is too thin, I can take that, I can move it, I go back into group mode, and then this is, something's wrong with my keyboard. Oh, I didn't even group them. Anyways, this is a group. I go into individual selection mode. I can change something, move this around, go back into group mode, and move that around as a group. So that can be very useful for changing just details. Up here is in our toolbar is all of the stuff that you'd want to use. So we can turn on different transform spaces. Like if I go into this block, I can move this along its world and local space. I can turn on asset collision or item collision. So when I'm moving things around, they don't move through each other like that, which can be useful for floor pieces, stuff like that. I can turn on snapping mode. So if I go into item snapping, all of our assets have snapping and pivot points baked into them. So you'll see that these assets should snap together like that. And then that can be very useful for building walls or floors again. So that's all the sort of most basic stuff. What I also want to show you, and one of the more unique and special elements of this tool, is logic. So if I wanted to make something happen, this is our sort of visual coding tool. If I go to logic, I can go into common, and we have these nodes. Like if I take an on start node, again, I can drag one out. What I want to do is I want to make a block move. So I'm going to take one of these guys. I want to find a move node. You can just look up move. Oh, wait, if I go back out. Find a move node right there. And what I want to have happen is when I enter this arc, I want this block to move. And this is, in the interest of time, an incredibly simple interaction. So I can link these two like that. I click on a nodule from the on start node, and I can link it to relevant nodules in the move node. So I want on start the move node. And then I can link this to an asset like this block. I can also do that if I click on two assets using the logic linking panel, and any available links that can be made between those two assets show up here. I'm going to make that link that way. So there's two ways of doing that. So I just want to show you how quickly, if I jump into this arc, you can test something you've made. So if I want to make this move up, let's say 10 over, I don't know, 6 seconds. I want to change the easing mode to ease out. So I'm going to jump in, be placed right here where my camera was. And you can see I just caught the tail end of that. It's moving up over 10 seconds and it eased out. So maybe that isn't what I wanted. I want it to move faster or further. I can jump back into creator mode, and here I am making it, something else. So as far as stamps go, and this is coming from somebody who truly in an unbiased way, I use this tool every day. Stamps are really exciting. If I go into stamps here, so the game has been live for 2 odd weeks. There's some stuff in here that's Barb made in public stamps. There's some stuff in here that I've never seen before. I mean, there's pages and pages of stuff already. So I can drag somebody's creation out. This is from somebody at Barb actually made this. So this is from a level called Canyon Springs. And this is a sort of a water wheel. This is meant to, I think in that level, in situ, this is in a waterfall and it rotates as the water hits it. So this one, cargo ship, I have never seen before. So I'm assuming this was made in the last 2 weeks, and this is actually quite gorgeous. So this is, some kind of cargo ship. I mean, it's got a person in it. So these are two completely unique prefabricated chunks of content, and I just want to show you. Okay, so I think I'm going to make like a riverboat. I think that just makes sense. I think that makes sense to everybody watching as well. What's so cool about stamps, though, is that the attributes and the logic links that are part of this stamp come with it. So this person who's made this has on start, this thing starts rotating, and it just restarts. And so this is on a loop. It rotates around and around and around. These are set visibility. It's a set visibility node that turns these off. So he wants these to have collision, but you don't want to see this block from a different theme. So all of that comes with this stamp, but I can go into that stamp, and if I want this is turning every 7 seconds. I want that to turn faster. So I'm going to change that to 3 seconds. Go back into group mode, and we're going to take 4 of these because that's how many there would be. Maybe like that. I'm going to take this riverboat, and let's get these two closer. I also should probably put some water down to really complete the image. So I search water. It's a water volume tile. This will be a bit small in comparison to this thing. So I'm going to size this way up. Let's get that to be probably about there. And I'm going to test this. I want to jump right on top of this thing. Play. And just like that, I mean, that took what, 60 seconds. I've got this riverboat. And right now I think, okay, this is cool. It needs effects. I can go into particle effects. I can add a splash effect behind these things. I could add input nodes and I could start controlling this thing. This could be its own cool chunk of UGC. And what's so cool about the stamp system is that I can back out now. I can take this as a whole, and I'm going to stamp this. And let's say my buddy Duncan, so that's grouped. I'm going to change the name. Let's go Riverboat, and create stamp. So this is now stamped. It's Riverboat. Well, you'll know it's very unique. It's called Riverboat. I want to allow others to ungroup. Yep, because I want other people to mess around with it. And I want to publish that. So this stamp is now, should be, if I go to public stamps and I search Riverboat is there. So if I took this stamp and I said, hey, Duncan, I've changed your cargo ship. I've made it a riverboat. What do you want to do with it now? I could go back into the game tomorrow, and my friend Duncan has taken the riverboat and he's created an entire experience around this stamp in which you're navigating a roaring torrential stream, and you've got to dodge rocks or something. And then somebody could take that and they could further increase the wow factor and turn that into one section of a bigger level. And then that entire level could itself be stamped. And so the size, there's no really, this is the possibilities of this system are infinite. I have yet to find the ceiling, and I've been doing this for a while. And it just makes building so easy. I mean, that took no time at all. And I've already got one of the, I imagine, more functional, interesting parts of a yet to come level made and ready to go. And so I think that's the power of the stamp system and the logic system. I mean, I showed you, a move node and a non-start node. But in logic, we have variable nodes, we have volumes, we have artificial intelligence, like baddies. You can do audio, you can make your own sound effects. I mean, the combinations thereof are, practically infinite. And you can really do basically whatever you want. So I think that's what's so exciting about the stamp thing. And I know that my compatriots agree with me when I say that this is kind of the future of collaborative building and remix culture in UGC. So I don't want to go too long. I know we want to maybe take some questions.
Yeah, Liam, let's definitely give some time for questions. There was a slide that we just wanted to kind of end the presentation with, but let's not do that. But we just wanted to say, look, it's quite early in this project, and I think what a lot of you are doing are really advanced work on incredible platforms. So I think in the future, especially for those monetizing and building business, I think you can come and check out the tools. Let us know what you'd always want from a platform, but I think we'll be more interesting and appealing and attractive later. But please, we'd love you in our community. We'd love your feedback, and we'd love to know what are the things that you've always wanted, and we'll try and endeavor to get that on our roadmap and create something that you love. But Trent, I did want to make sure that there's plenty of time for questions, and we can run a few minutes over as well, just in case there's a whole bunch to get through.
Yeah, definitely. I'll go through the chat, and Liam, if you want to keep building, I think that's great. It's cool to see that in the background.
Make some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So one that was asked twice was, does the teams have plans to allow multiple creators to work on the same arc, either at the same time, or like how do the collaboration features work, and what will they look like in the future?
Yeah. I mean, certainly.
There's more right now.
Yeah, sorry. You go for it, Sergey? Sorry, dude.
No, yeah, I would say yes, it is planned. Multiple people should be able to edit arc at the same time or hand it over to other people. It's just right now it doesn't work, but yes, it's planned.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Like,
definitely on the
definitely,
roadmap. We've always had that in mind, and we think that's going to be a really fun place to be when people are, able to bring out their stamps and do all different types of things together. And again, maybe you got some private stamps that you haven't shared with everybody, and then in that context, you can start sharing them with your friends and all that kind of good stuff. So, really excited to get to that point.
Awesome. How will publishing of a game work, and like what systems are in place to keep discovery moderated?
So we do have post moderation. We have the classic stuff where you could, people could, Are you talking about safety, or are you talking about publishing in general? Because publishing is super easy. Lamb could just publish this arc right now, set up menus, and it just goes live, and it goes live immediately. When it comes to player safety, we do have post moderation in place already, so anything can be reported. We do plan to have pre moderation, but it's going to be just mechanical checking. So it's going to be, system with machine vision just looks for like what we call the penis swastika Mickey Mouse, three obvious things. So anything that is age inappropriate, anything that is non-copyright, or anything that is hateful content, and the system's gonna look for this stuff. And for underage players, which we do not allow in the game right now. The game is, the tool is right now is 16 plus, but for people that are younger than 16, later we'll have proper age ratings. So it's going to be a self-rating system, so similar to Steam or App Store. And we'll make sure that we'll do reviews, and we'll rely on user reports and, again, machine vision to quickly determine if somebody is breaking any rules on that. But
Okay.
the goal is you publish and it goes live immediately. It's like there's no steps in between that somebody has to review it or something.
Awesome. So no. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, just to jump in. So our community guidelines are pretty robust and already quite clear. So if you go to our website and navigate to the bottom rail, you'll find them, but you'll see an indication of exactly our approach to moderation and appeals. The one thing I'll say is, we are aware that you want to get things live as soon as possible, especially if you're monetizing, and that's why we built the system that Sergey just described.
Nice. Yeah, no waiting a week for your update to go live that fixes a critical bug that was the fault of the platform. So that's good. Another question was, what is the reason? Like what's the incentive for someone to not just like rebuild a stamp so that way they don't have to share the revenue with the person that made the original?
Well, the revenue that you share, you will not save anything if you don't use any stamps. That's it. It's a portion of revenue in our design that is already apportioned to all the stamps that you're using. So if you're making a level that doesn't use any external stamps, you will not earn more. It's just that money will not go to someone. You know how systems usually divide your earnings into two parts. It's a platform fee, and then it's what you earn as a creator. We divide it into three parts, where there's a portion of money apportioned for you, the portion of money apportioned for all the stamps and contributors that you're using, and a portion of money apportioned, for running the service and paying the bills.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so you're kind of incentivized to. It doesn't it doesn't help you make any more money.
And, it's not like you don't have to share more if you use incrementally more stamps. So no matter if you use one stamp, or if you use 100 stamps, or you use 1,000 stamps, or you have 1,000 contributors, it doesn't change any how much money you make. So as a builder, you should pick whatever you feel fits the best, fits your game the best, or your experience the best, and do not feel limited. Like, if I put this tree that looked really cool and Adam designed it, it's going to be more expensive because Adam is a very well known in the community, and he charges more. It's not like that. So whatever you use, if you use something from somebody unknown, or use hundreds of items from known creators, your money stays the same.
That's awesome. Okay. And then let's say I make a game, like how do I advertise or promote my game? I know that you guys mentioned deep linking outside of the platform, but is there anything like within the platform, like you can pay to be featured anywhere or anything like that?
We don't have anything right now. It's not like I can say we will not have it. It's just we haven't designed for that part yet. Right now, we mostly focused on endemic discovery and on venues discovery. So if your game is, if people are playing your game, it's going to pop up in top popular games. If it's new, it's going to pop up in new. Plus, you could have portals, from other experiences to this experience as well. You could work with somebody, some other creators to place portals to that drive people to experience. As for ads and stuff, I'm just not ready to answer this question because we don't know, honestly.
That's
Yeah.
fair. And then I think
Sure.
a related. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, look, you know, one of the things that we don't have designed yet, but we have heard from creators and devs is, you know, we don't want this race to the top or top 1% buyers. So as well as the, you know, most engaged, most plays, we're trying to think about editorial trays of emerging or new. So every game that's published does have a chance to find an audience. We're still at design stage, and this is based on, you know, feedback from the community, and obviously we'd appreciate any feedback that you have on the platform you use right now in terms of how you could imagine discovery being better for you and for your IP and the games that you make.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I
I
personally
imagine.
like the visibility round system that Steam has, where they give visibility rounds to all the games, and you could use some of those rounds, and you earn new things based on your game progresses. So we could learn from that, I think. But I think we will learn more from the audience, like and from builders, like Dan said.
Makes sense. Another question. I know we're a little bit over time. I saw a little bit of time though. And so someone asked, how will characters work? And I believe you guys touched on this briefly. But the question is like, will creators be able to make characters? You know, will characters only be made by everywhere? And then will the revenue be shared from skins or any assets or anything if the characters are only made by the platform?
So as it stands right now, player characters are controlled by players. So player decides how to dress up the character and how they should look. They use it. They buy outfits from the global store right now, or acquire them from a global store. Right now, Barb is in full control of all the cosmetics for that. For all the NPCs and stuff, we have a system coming in place where you could dress up NPCs the way you want, with access to some cosmetics, not all cosmetics, because some of those cosmetics are copyrighted, but with access to some cosmetics from a store. And eventually, I think builders will be able to change player character for the game if they feel like it's important. I think Roblox has a similar system. So let's say we allow people to dress up the way they want, and it's fine. But if you're making a deeply immersive experience and you're making, I don't know, a fantasy RPG, and you're supposed to be playing an orc, you don't want somebody coming in and in a Batman costume in your playing in your arc, because you feel like it breaks immersion. Then you design the player character and you in full control of that. But we don't have that system yet.
Okay, that makes sense. And then another question: how many players will be able to fit in one instance? Is this like 5 to 10 players, 50 to 60? What if someone wanted to make like a big battle royale or something like that?
Adam, do you know the answer? I think it's just technical limit.
Yeah, I know there are some technical limitations right now, but they're limits that we're going to rapidly be able to overcome. I think at the moment, like we can comfortably have 32 players in like an all single dancing kind of full fat gameplay experience. But there's opportunities to make more socially driven experiences where you can go beyond that limit. It just depends on the kind of fidelity of interactions you want to have and all that kind of stuff. But these are values that will definitely go up over time as we're kind of continually optimizing, refining our systems, and just as technology generally advances as well.
Yeah, and plus, what Adam is referring is one arc, but you could link multiple arcs through portals, so they would feel like a part of the same world. It's just when you enter the door, you end up in a different arc, but it's the same world essentially.
Does that mean, is it kind of like Minecraft, where if I open an arc and it gets full, like does it like make a copy that then other players would be able to join, where like Roblox
Yeah,
will
it makes
just
an instance.
instantly
Yeah,
scale up? Okay.
what I was referring is that if you want to make it like a complex world that has multiple areas, and you want to have more than 32 people in it, they would be more 32 people in a portion of the world at any time. But if somebody navigates from the city to outside of the city, for example, they go through the door is a portal. They end up technically in a different arc, but it's still part of the same world because you made it.
Okay,
And,
that makes sense.
Yeah, you could have player stats transfer over and all that.
In terms of assets, someone asked like, will you be able to create your own assets, upload assets? And then someone also mentioned kind of along the same lines, like, will I be able to write code for this eventually? Or is the focus more on like just the in-game tools for now to make sure that it's can be more widely adopted?
This one is where it comes in, goes into the realms of features. We want people to be able eventually to upload assets. It's right now it's two parts to it. One is a technical thing. So to allow people to upload assets, we have to be able to stream assets on the fly. Otherwise, you will end up with a situation where you have to download a bunch of stuff when you're starting a new arc, and it's not really fun. right? So we don't have that capability yet, but we're working on it. Another part is pre-moderation, because we want to be able to make sure that people uploading stuff are not uploading anything that is infringing or offensive, right? And that comes down to that machine vision thing I mentioned that is in development. That should help with that. Eventually, yes, we want builders to be able to upload it. Probably it's not going to be everyone. You will have to, be marked as trusted builders. So spend some time in the ecosystem, not just log in and start uploading stuff. But it's coming. As for code, everything you see here is actually runs on Lua, same language that Logbox uses, and it's encapsulated in logic nodes. So our goal is not zero code or no code. Our goal is no code required. So we want people that are more comfortable with writing code to be able to create their own stamps, essentially, or their own logic nodes, and share them as stamps. So if you have a really cool, I don't know, like weapon selection system, or you have a really cool RPG system, you package it, you write it in Lua, and then you package it as a stamp, and somebody else just drags and drops those connections, like in blueprints, as you see Liam doing right now. But allowing people to write Lua code in the system comes with some security things. So we have to encapsulate the code. We have to make sure that the code doesn't have access to global stuff. It's just an engineering problem. And Lua is a pretty safe language, to be fair, right? It's a scripting language. So it's coming. I just can't commit to a date, honestly.
No, that's fair. But yeah,
anything in game development, right?
yeah, knowing it's on the
And
horizon is good though.
And I don't want to kind of talk about two things too far the field, but certainly we're a company that's very passionate about technology in general. And I think that there's going to be some real amazing opportunities that AI is going to present us, where people can just articulate things and manifest them. And I think that's more a paradigm we're going to be heading towards in the future. We want to be at the tip of the spear when it comes to that type of thing.
Awesome. Another question I had is, will you guys have like voice chat, text chat? Like, what are your plans around that?
Yep, voice chat and text chat are. I believe we do have text chat already.
Yeah,
we
did we enable voice chat, or is it disabled in the current version? Because it exists in the game. I just don't know if.
Yeah, it's not enabled just yet, but we do have text chat, both party, local, and global chat when you're in a party as well. But we are going to be having party-based chat, proximity-based chat within arcs and all that kind of stuff as well. But we just haven't got around to enabling all those systems yet, because we need to make sure we've got the proper tools in place to make sure that we can protect younger members of the audience when we invite them in and all that kind of stuff as well.
So systems already exist. Yep.
Okay, that's cool. And then, do you guys have any plans or anything around like what analytics and data you would be able to get out of your arc as a creator? Like on Fortnite, they just added like click-through rate. Like would you be able to see how many concurrent players, like maybe where players are leaving your game, play time, things like that?
So this is a really important part, and I've been working with analytics systems for a big portion of my career. This is where we need feedback from builders to understand what they want. And I think the best solution to this is actually to provide APIs so people can plug in and collect the data and create services that display this data in an appropriate way. So we don't have to design all the systems ourselves. So yeah, we have plans for that. I just don't know what exactly is going to be exposed, because we need some feedback on that.
Okay,
yeah, exactly.
Access to an API would be great, because like on Fortnite, it's so limited right now and it's so hard to get anything out of it. Whereas like in Minecraft and Roblox, you can just put in your own stuff, and some of the teams are really advanced with it.
Yeah, just to kind of echo something I said before, like we built this whole platform with all of this stuff in mind. So we will be able to have very robust analytic data, but it's just like how we allow you to access that, how we allow you to kind of interpret that, and that, API access would be a way that one of the mechanisms by which we're able to do it. But yeah, certainly we're going to be able to capture that data, and we've built everything in mind to be able to do so.
Awesome. Yeah, I can imagine someone building a really good analytic system and then making it a stamp. That would be cool. And then another person had a question: any plans on like streaming service integrations into the game, anything with like Twitch, YouTube, or anything like that?
Yes, we have got very, very exciting plans. Nothing we can actually share right now, but we're not necessarily, and again, we don't necessarily look at things through the lens of what the industry is doing right now, but perhaps like more optimistic what we should be doing in the future. And we again want to be at the tip of the spear with that kind of thing as well. And we've got some very, very innovative things that I'm very, very excited to start sharing, but unfortunately that day isn't today.
That's fair. And then I think two more questions. One is, which platforms are supported, both for creating tools, and then are there different platforms that maybe don't have the creation tools but players can play with?
Well, right now the game is only available on PC. We do not support any other systems right now. We want players to be able to access everywhere. Well, everywhere. Right? So we want it to be available on mobile, on consoles, on whatever devices people will use in the future. Building, I think, is going to be limited to a PC for quite a while because it's quite complex. It requires a keyboard and mouse. But playing should be accessible everywhere eventually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And then last question I have here is back to the API question. Would you guys be able to allow like external requests? So like would somebody be able to build like an external leaderboard system that then the game could reference?
Adam, do you know the answer to this question? Because I don't know it's technical.
Right now, I don't. It's definitely something we're planning in the future, but it's something, again, it's the security side of that we're just going to be really, really careful with. Like anything that's interacting externally, we're just going to be super, super careful with. So it's the kind of thing we like to do, but we've just got to be very, very careful with when and how we do that.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. Well, those are all the questions. Thank you guys so much for putting this together and for showing this demo. It's been really cool to see. Is there like any call to action or any suggestion of like where people could go if they want to check this out?
Well, I can handle that. I think I just wanted to say, look, we've flipped a little bit between big picture vision and future and reality. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, I do think for an audience like as talented and as qualified as we are, it's still quite early. Like I said, all the things that you're asking are on the roadmap, but some of that you won't find right now within the tools. Call to action is go to everywhere.game and you can sign up for the builders beta. Also just get in touch with me or one of the team just to make us know that you're going to be in the community and in the game. And like I said, feedback is incredibly important to us, and we want to make sure that we build a platform that you love and you'll get a lot of utility out of. So just keep it coming. Even all of these questions you've asked today give us a strong indication of like, maybe where we should be allocating resource and thinking a bit more intently. So just appreciate the time on behalf of everybody today. And hopefully one day, Trent, we're going to have an everywhere channel on the server, because I know there's a Roblox one. So that's coming soon, TBC.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. This was really fun. And yeah, I think that's it then. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thanks, Trent. Thanks for inviting us, and thank you for attending. And we're really looking forward to you joining everywhere and hearing your feedback, because really it's people like you who are going to help us move this platform forward and get it where we want it to be. So thank you so much for your time. Hope you enjoyed it.
We did. Thank you. See you guys.
See you guys.